Respected dignitaries, teachers, and my dear friends, a very good morning to you all. Science is a way of learning more than it is a way of understanding. It is well said. Spectrum, the annual science exhibition of L'école Chempaka, is a grand event which is conducted once a year. The event lasts for a whole day and helps to display the wide range of talents of the students. Spectrum helps the students to think innovatively and outside the box. Every year, the students are given a theme based on which they are asked to make lifelike models to tackle the given problem or the theme. Spectrum this year will be without a doubt a special one. Owing to the COVID-19 pandemic situation, the school was forced to shift what was usually a much anticipated school event online. Despite these difficulties, Chempaka has managed to plan and conduct Spectrum online this year, which shows the wonderful resilience of our school. Now, we shall move on with the opening ceremony of Spectrum 2021.
On this gracious occasion, I'd like to invite Shreya Dhanakoti of Grade 4 Bluebell to begin our function with a prayer.
Sri Saraswati Namostute Vade Sri Saraswati Namostute Paradevate Sri Pati Gauri Pati Guru Guhabinu Devati Vate Sri Saraswati Namostute वासनात्रय विवर्जित परमुनिवन्दित मूर्ते वासनात्रय विवर्जित परमुनिवन्दित मूर्ते वास पाद्य किल नेक्षर वर विदरण बहु कीर्ते दरहासयुधमुखाम्बुरु हे अल्पुद चरणाम्बुरु हे आसयुधमुखाम्बुरु हे अल्पुद चरणाम्बुरु हे संसार विद्यापहे सकल मंत्राक्षर गुहे श्री सरस्वती नमोस्तुते
A welcome goes beyond words. It creates a feeling of caring and a sense of pleasure. In these appalling times, we've been extremely blessed to have Annie ma'am, our vice principal, who has always supported us in all our endeavors and been a strong backbone throughout. Her words motivate us to do our best and provide us with a sense of comfort. On the same note, I would now like to invite Mrs. Annie Cherian to deliver the welcome address.
I am here to unveil a secret. Albert Einstein deciphered the secret. Beethoven decrypted the secret. William Shakespeare unraveled the secret. Good morning to one and all. Respected Chairman Mr. V.N.P. Raj, Secretary Mrs. Shashikala Raj, Director Mrs. Shija N., our Principal Mr. Joim Varghese, Vice Principals, Academic Head, Coordinators, Facilitators, all non-teaching staff, parents and my very dear children. I welcome you all to this spectrum. Let us hark back to the story of Aladdin and his lamp. Aladdin rubs the lamp and out pops a genie. The genie always voiced his servility through the magical words, "Master, your wish is my command." Albert Einstein was closely acquainted with this genie. He asked the genie to explain some of the baffling mysteries of physics, and the genie gave him the answers. Beethoven requested the genie to give him beautiful notes to compose revolutionary music, and the genie brought him the notes. Shakespeare commanded the genie to bring captivating words and brilliant plots to write exceptional poems and plays, and the genie complied with the orders. Whatever one desires, the genie turns it into reality. He was Einstein's genie, Beethoven's genie, Shakespeare's genie, and believe it or not, he is your genie too. Yes, my dear children, you too have this powerful yet generous genie.
Thank you, Annie Mum. I'm indeed glad and honored to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Amog, to Spectrum 2021. Being an alumnus of L'école Chempaka, he is the most appropriate person to be our chief guest today. It's our pleasure, sir, and a moment of pride and joy for all the teachers and students to have you in our midst on this day. And I'm sure we'll all be inspired and motivated by your thoughts and words of wisdom. Now I cordially invite our honorable chief guest, Dr. Amog, to grace this auspicious day.
Very good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to be invited to inaugurate Spectrum 2021. And I'm glad that Prasanna Madam invited me. Prasanna Madam taught me chemistry during 11th and 12th. And it is an honor to be taught by a person who is so inspirational, dedicated and hardworking. And I would like to thank all my teachers who are currently present at L'École and those who have left the institution, who have honed my skills, been mentors to me, and everyone else who had the privilege of studying at L'École. So I have been asked to give the inaugural address for Spectrum 2021. And I thought I will base my small talk on opportunities that are available to students to engage in some introductions to science. So I am a medical student. I am a house surgeon at Government Medical College Trivandrum, and I have been engaged in research activities at the student level. I studied at L'École. I wrote my ICSE in 2012 and IISc exams in 2014. And my experiences at school has given me much insight into the various extracurricular domains as well as academic writing and reading. So I'll share with you opportunities that you can, while you're at school, utilize to pursue your scientific interests. So first, thank you, Chempaka, for this is a year where the theme was science. And this is us doing a skit on space. So I thank Chempaka for opening our eyes to various fields, various domains, and always being encouraging. So beginning the talk. So how does science differ from other forms of knowledge? So what is science? So science follows a particular scientific method. So you make observations, then you think of questions. Based on those observations, you formulate a hypothesis, then you test the hypothesis, and you test by gathering data, and you see what the data has to tell you. Then you go back to your hypothesis and see whether it has to be modified And repeated testing will finally lead to generalized theories. And theories again make you see things in a different light and goes back to observation. So it is a dynamic cycle. And the most important parts of this is making observations and thinking of questions. So only if you are alert, aware, and you observe, can you see things that can lead you to interesting questions and the rest of the cycle. So I'll share with you the story of hepatitis B to make you understand this very exciting method of science. So this is Bloomberg. Bloomberg was a medical scientist who went on to discover the hepatitis virus as well as the vaccine. So during his early days, he was inspired by two Nobel laureates who went to the same school as he went to. I think all of you are familiar with Feynman. And he wanted to pursue science. So when he was studying medicine, the first opportunity he got to do science was in South America, where he went to study differences in the incidence of diseases among indigenous and immigrant populations. So among the people, the incidence of filariasis, that is the number of people who are getting filariasis, differed among the various populations in the community. For example, if you take the indigenous populations, the incidence is different from immigrant populations that had come from various places. So this alerted him to the fact that all of us were different. And then he observed this E.B. Ford study of butterflies, that butterflies have very different patterns on them. And so they're again examples of differences in nature, same species, but they are occurring or they are appearing different. So this inspired him to study polymorphisms. Polymorphisms are again minute differences in proteins. And so he studied polymorphisms of serum proteins of milk and hemoglobin, and he went on field trips to collect specimens. The idea was to find out whether certain polymorphisms made you more vulnerable to disease. And then he thought, if a patient who receives multiple blood transfusions, he would be developing antibodies against those proteins which were not present in his body. I think this is a little difficult to understand for very small kids, but the idea is people are different, and if a patient who is receiving blood transfusions may develop antibodies against proteins which are different and present in the donor. This led him to study people who receive blood transfusions, and he discovered a new antigen in the blood of patients with leukemia. And this was called the Australia antigen. And this later, he found that this particular, those people who had the antigen were also having hepatitis. Hepatitis is when your liver is inflamed. And then he discovered the hepatitis B virus. So here you see a series of observations, very unrelated. He started off very differently, but observation, question, and finally you end up with a discovery. And later he developed, he went on to be part of the team that developed the vaccine, which was very efficacious. So this is a story of Bloomberg and how science progresses very slowly, step by step, with questions, answers, which lead to further questions, and finally you end up with something that is useful for all of us. So he won the Nobel Prize in 1976. And the impact is, because hepatitis B leads to malignancy, liver cancer, he is attributed to be the person who has saved people from the most number of cancer deaths. So this is the impact that he was able to bring about by developing his basic interest on differences in people and how they responded to disease. So that tells you how science works. And now what can you do as students during your school days to cultivate an interest in science? First is to get inspired. So there are a lot of non-fiction books. The Phantoms in the Brain is a book by Dr. V.S. Ramachandran. He's an alumni. He studied at Madras Medical College and went on to do neuroscience research. And these are books that take science and put it in a very readable and very communicative format. So, and books by Nobel laureates as well as the Nobel Prize pages detail the work done by all of the scientists who won the Nobel Prize. There are YouTube lectures of great scientists who speak to, who communicate their science. And then seniors, because Chempaka has come a long way, there are seniors doing all kinds of work all over the world. So you can connect your seniors and talk to them if you have a particular interest in a particular area. Then making observations, asking questions and trying to answer them. So that there are lab opportunities and available for students to just get an idea about what lab science is like. And if you have an idea, feel free to write to people who are working in the same area, and they might invite you for a small project, or you may be able to do a project at distance with them. Secondary data analysis, the net is filled with data that you can use to answer certain questions. And with the right knowledge of the tools available to answer questions from such data, you can do original projects based on data available online. Surveys, again, you can, if you face an issue in your community, you see something that needs to be, it is good to see what the problem is, or how the problem is, or how it can be tackled. You can do small surveys that will lead to meaningful conclusions and recommendations. Then again, representational models or working models of concepts that can transform into a prototype. Then a very useful skill to learn is learn how to review literature and cite. So there is a lot of information out there. Where do you go for accurate information? So when we do projects in school, we straight away go to Wikipedia, we copy paste, and then we submit the project. Instead of that, citing original work, how do you give credit to images? How do you give credit to the paper? So it's useful to learn the art of literature review as well as citation. Then to learn basic principles of how we do science, or how do we interpret a hypothesis. And for that, you need to learn basic statistical methods. So I have been mentioning about learning. So there is so much to learn. Where do you learn from? So we are lucky that we live in a generation where there are a lot of very, very useful online courses, online books, interest groups. Coursera is one, edX is another. And these are places where you can go and do a course and even get certified for learning a particular area. And these are open for all age groups. So you can learn all of these things through online courses which are freely available. And then you have a wide range of avenues as students to participate. So one is Olympiads. Then you have science fairs like Spectrum. Then you have essay competitions. These are international essay competitions where you can take part and compete with people from all over the world. Science communication events and student journals. So be active, proactive, go on to Google and search for these competitions which are open to students, and also search for student journals which accept work in various domains. So you have journals accepting poetry, journals accepting essays, journals accepting stories. So these are places where you can make your work, there are journals accepting art. But these are places where you can make your work visible and you can communicate with a wider audience. So to end, where do observations come from? So who can teach you farming? So these are this is a farmer, a textbook on farming, and an agricultural scientist. All three of them can teach you about farming, but they give you a different perspective. So what I'm trying to say is, do not forget the man in the field. That is, if you take any field, you're working on any problem, always go and talk to the people who it will affect, or the people who are bringing out the effect. So have a community perspective. So step out, volunteer, see problems in the community, converse with people, and then try to convert that into questions which can be answered, and you can bring out meaningful solutions for problems around you. And science is for everyone. So if you're not a scientific person, you like art, you like sports, you like dancing, all of these are areas with their own problems. You can use the scientific method to solve problems in your particular area. And more than that, you can use them to solve problems which are purely scientific. For example, I like magic. So now we're using, scientists are using tricks of magic to study about attention, about visual circuits, because magic relies on bringing your attention to a particular place at a particular time and avoiding your attention from someplace else. So using tricks and using and how people respond to them, we are understanding more and more about how the brain works. So this is an area, this is an example of how your extracurricular interest can help you think of questions which can be answered through science. So to conclude, we are at the end of a very harsh year, and we are at the beginning of the end. So we have COVID vaccines now being given to healthcare workers and selected populations. And this is an example of how we have progressed, how fast science has progressed, and how fast science is able to bring out solutions today. And I hope that at least some of you take up science seriously and keep this scientific temperament with you throughout your careers. So all the very best for all the events today. And I hope that all of you get inspired by the projects that will be on display today. I thank Chempaka, I thank my teachers again for all that they have done for me. I thank Prasanna Madam again for inviting me to give this inaugural address. I'm honored to be able to speak to all of you at this at this stage where you're all filled with curiosity and interest. Thank you very much. And I thank Aditya for setting up the meeting. All the best and thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to take the time to invite our beloved chairman, Mr. V.N.P. Raj. Even after being miles away, he never lets us sense his absence as he continues to keep us motivated and enthusiastic with his kind and encouraging words and the support he extends to us in all our endeavors. At every step, he's there, aiding us to create this environment of comfort for growing and learning. And for that, we are grateful to you, sir. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to cordially invite our guest of honor, Mr. V.N.P. Raj, to address the wonderful gathering. Sir, please.
Sorry. Dear doctor, feeling proud that you are a part of Chempaka and you are a part of motivating the new Chempakaites. Dear Joy sir, dear Shija, and Imam, all my dear teachers, all my dearest children's parents, and everyone here. It is my privilege to be with you, even though the way is too early. I was just thinking about spectrum science for a while. I am not a scientist, but what I can think about it is why we should study science. Children, we use science every day and everywhere. Science is all about connecting ourselves to the nature. We are a product of nature. We live with nature and we merge back to the nature. Science is a way of observing. Science is a way of connecting ourselves to the nature. And how we connect to the nature is a more important question, children. It is technology. So science and technology go together, hand in hand. Children, have you ever thought, or are you aware, how much of technology you are using? Imagine you wake up in the morning. You first go to the bathroom. You are using water, toilet, you are using brush, then you go for a bath, you are using soap, you are using a water technology. How much of technology you are using in that small room and connecting to the nature. Whatever use is from the nature, you use the technology to connect yourself. Then you come out of it, you start dressing. How much of dress, beauty materials you add on to your body is nothing but technology with the products of nature. Then you dress up, the tailoring itself is a technology with the cotton and other materials. Shoe is another technology. You go up to your dining table, all the food is converting natural products of nature into eatable items. You reach up to the road, the way you transport is another technology with the materials of nature. You are a bundle of science with the technology. And now you have another issue. As you reach the school, now you are going beyond technology. I don't want to go to school. I want to multiply my efficiency. How I can use science for better efficiency? We have landed into artificial intelligence. So children, where are we? Nature, technology, artificial intelligence, and we are faced by one more thing. Do you know what is that? Lack of resources. So recycling, these four things become man's destiny today. Knowing science, using technology, building artificial intelligence, finding ways to reuse. These are our life history, my children. Thanks to our school that is promoting Spectrum to enable our children to know this connection, build this connection, become a passion to this connection and develop it. And let us take Spectrum, bring all the doctors, all the engineers, all of our alumni together. That should be your job, my dear children. Bring them because they can be showing you the lights. They can show you the path and you can build it. You become a doctor, engineer, anything except becoming a poet. The rest is science, technology, artificial intelligence, and recycling. Let us build it. And what I can do for you? What do you want me to do? Everything should be self-sustained, my dear children. You have to work, you have to find the ways, you have to find the money to create your own intelligence technology platforms. But I will not allow you to go alone. From this year onwards, this academic year, that is 2020-21, I don't know whether Joy sir is here. I know Shrija will be there. I am allowing from the society rupees 5 lakhs as an additional fund. This money will be available to you for any sector, building technology or finding technology or finding artificial intelligence platform or even recycling projects. This money will be available. You can approach the school director and school principal for utilization of the money, but go use it, find it, and use it for betterment of our life and the life to follow us. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak. It's not about perfection, it's about effort. And when you bring that effort every single time, that's where transformation happens. Spectrum 2021 has not been without its difficulties. Yet the organizers and participants have burned the midnight oil to make this event memorable. On this glorious occasion, I cordially invite our respected director, Mrs. Shija N., to offer felicitation. Ma'am, please.
Honorable Chairman Raj sir, dear Shashi ma'am, Respected Principal Joy sir, all leaders and dear teachers, and my dear children, a very warm good morning to all. So, yet another day of history for Lekol Chempaka, as we did for other celebrations like Lekol Fest and many other celebrations online. Now we are doing the Spectrum, the arts and science exhibition also online, which is not very easy to implement. However, our teachers, their hard work and the teamwork made it possible even to do Spectrum online. So I take this opportunity to congratulate and thank all the members of Lekol Chempaka team, the students and teachers, for being together and making it possible. As our chief guest has rightly told about the scientific approach, about the importance of science. Science is very important to everyone, irrespective of the field of interest. Whether you are interested in arts or music, whatever is the subject, science is very important. You have to approach everything using science or by applying science. I'm sure this platform will be very helpful for each one of you to express, to showcase your talents. And I also take this opportunity to thank Raj sir for donating our children with such a fund of rupees 5 lakhs, which will be really helpful for the young scientists to make a lab or whatever is required by them. Thank you so much, Raj sir. That will be really helpful for all our children. I once again thank the team, the Spectrum conveners and the students, and wishing all the very best for all the participants of the day. I also take this opportunity to thank and congratulate the judges. Our judges also among the team are Chempaka teachers who has volunteered to be the judges for the day and help the Spectrum committee. Thank you all. Once again, wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Spectrum is an event where the students showcase their scientific talent through their creative and innovative ideas. This year's event is clearly aimed at building confidence within Chempakaites, even in this adverse situation. Now, I would like to call upon Mr. Sanu Joseph, our academic head, to deliver the vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion. Sir, please.
Dear Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. Amog, our Guest of Honor, Chairman Daj Sir, our Director, Shija Ma'am, Principal Joy Sir, Vice Principals and Coordinators, loving students, the participants of Spectrum 2021, the young scientists, dear teachers, and my dear loving parents, a warm good morning to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks today. The chief guest of the day, Dr. Amog, is a true Chempakaite in all sense. He has been constant inspiration to his juniors while at school, and he continued the same spirit even at the Trivandrum Medical College. His juniors there vouches it. Thank you, Dr. Amog, for gracing this occasion with your enchanting presence and inspiring thoughts. We are glad to have you as our chief guest. Learning by doing and doing without fear is the essence of the educational philosophy of our chairman, Daj Sir. Spectrum, the science fair, provides the appropriate avenue for the students to learn by doing and doing without fear. Thank you, Daj Sir, for being part of this opening ceremony, in spite of your busy schedule. Your presence and your words are an inspiration to all of us. Your guiding spirit motivates all of us to scale greater heights. The next person to be thanked is our director, Shija ma'am, director of the Chempaka group of schools. She meticulously strives to fulfill the vision of our chairman. Thank you, ma'am. You are a great inspiration to all of us. Joyce, sir, our principal, is the team leader who guides us to greater success and achievement. The number of spectrum meetings conducted, the minute details discussed, and the decisions made have made this day memorable. Thank you, Joyce, sir, for your undying and unrelenting spirit. 3 cheers to the Spectrum Committee headed by Prasanna ma'am. This day belongs to you. May I take this opportunity to thank the members of the Executive Committee for their wholehearted support and extended hours of deliberation for the Spectrum. May I thank all the participants, the young scientists of Spectrum 2021, for their spirit of scientific inquiry. And all the teachers who supported and guided them. A big thank you to all our loving parents for your support and words of encouragement. Spectrum 2021 has once again proved that nothing can dampen the spirit of Chempaka. Good day to all of you and enjoy the day. Thank you.
Goals are a preview of our future events and experiences in our lives. Now, we shall gracefully move on to the main event. Please be noted that this is the first venue for Spectrum. I wish all the participants the best of luck for Spectrum 2021.
Kindly rise for the school anthem.